Oh, yeah, you keep tickling my chin, you naughty little woman. And if you think this video is going to be hot and spicy like my Vietnamese chicken, well, think again. And this is the future, ladies and gentlemen. My very own AI on infinity loop, so she can do naughty things like this to me all day and all night long. And in return, I get to stare at her big, beautiful boobies and wonder what it might be like just to motorboat them forever and ever. And she's much more of a consolation. Oh, look, she's pointing a finger at me too now. But she's more of a consolation than this godforsaken bint right here, who I shall call Amandla Stem Cell Stenberg. This mixed-race cow wants to now copyright claim people who have actually dared to criticize her piece of shit song that took her 72 hours to produce, write, and annoy the whole nation of people who actually did not ask for it. The thing is, she's shit on the Acolyte. The Acolyte's a piece of shit, but if you dare to criticize her song, and when songs go into a recording studio, folks, they take months, maybe even up to a year to produce and come out with an absolute banger the following year. But apparently in Gen Z generation, you can make a song in under 72 hours. And yeah, if someone actually criticizes it, and my channel so far has not been struck, but I suspect it will in due course, but I'll give this cow a legal ramification that she will be like, I don't understand what he's saying here. He can still make money off my shit song. Yes, I can, Amandla. So can everybody else who dares to criticize your shit efforts, not only as an actress, but as a singer. Because, yeah, we don't like the Acolyte, we don't like the new iteration of Star Wars. You're probably thinking, ladies and gentlemen, what has this got to do with your video today? Well, it's a big expose time, ladies and gentlemen. I cannot wait to talk about this even more. I was going to ignore it, but actually it's worth talking about. It's a steady, heady, unhealthy diet of ESG and DEI.
Megatron must be stopped, no matter the cost.
Works for me.
When all hell's breaking loose, you'll be right in the eye of the storm. Bones of an egg on a mountain top. The funkiest monkey that ever popped. He knew every magic trick under the sun. He's the gods and everyone and have some fun. Monkey magic, 69 dudes!
So, ladies and gentlemen, this was breaking news over 18 hours ago, and I'm going to give you my thoughts and reactions on James O'Keefe's Pulitzer Prize winning undercover expose of someone who works at Disney and their DEI and ESG practices, where if you're a white person, you're not going to go up the corporate ladder. Oh no, if I walk in with no talent whatsoever, yes, the no talent ass clown like Michael Bolton from Office Space, I will get this job over what this guy has done for the last 11 years he's been at Disney. And let's get one thing straight, folks. This is not the bad man here. He's not a bad dude. He didn't even know he was being filmed secretly. So I do wonder what the head honchos over at Disney are thinking about all of this. And James O'Keefe, got to give this man a big round of applause. It was his actual investigative journalism that got to the root of the issue. Kotaku, or as one of my subscribers likes to call him, Woke-taku, couldn't even sniff a fart if it came around the corner, because Alyssa McCunty, all she wants to do is to write a review on the biggest game DLC so far this year, which is Erdtree from Elden Ring. But no, in her review, she talks about the complexities of the game, how it's crushingly difficult, and how she gets harassed online because she's just trying to be a games journo. And I have a theory about her review as well, that she didn't actually play the game. She based it on cutscenes and formed her review around that. But without further ado, folks, let's sit back, Bridget Jones mug in hand. Listen, I like Renee Zellweger in her lovely granny underpanties, but that's a whole other story for a whole other day.
In pants very popular with grannies the world over.
Kind of unspoken.
There are times when it's spoken, but
How would they say it?
no way we're hiring a white male Mitchell. They'd say
Like straight to you? Or, okay.
they'd be very careful how they message that to agents.
According to these videotapes, Disney blatantly discriminates against whites, white men in particular.
I think I'm sort of like well prepared for it. I'm well positioned for it. But as far as Disney's concerned, I'm a white male. And that's not who they're looking to promote at the moment.
As a white guy, even Mike
I gotta say, James O'Keefe right here, he's a pleasant throwback to men I admired back in the day. So it's good to see guys like him back in the forefront. And he happens to be white as well. Not that it has anything to do with the fact he's a great dude. It's just that he's bringing journalism back into the forefront the way it ought to be. Not cringing, not virtue signaling, not gaslighting your audience, but actually bringing cold, hard facts.
Michael has his own doubts about the possibility for advancement for himself at Disney. In fact, Michael actually got to experience Disney's discrimination against white males firsthand.
I've been at the company 11 years now, so I have friends in HR and I have friends in those divisions, and they're like, look, nobody else is going to tell you this, Mike, but they're not considering any white males for this job. They're just not. That's not what they want.
They even passed over a qualified half-black person for a promotion because they didn't look black enough.
Because you're black.
Because you're not black? Oh, well, I mean, when you think about that, that in itself is a discriminatory practice from Disney. Hey, you know what, folks? You might not be exactly the right shade of black we're looking for. So if you're a mochaccino, then I guess you're out of the door, folks. Terrible. So I don't have a chance in hell, do I?
We wanted to hire somebody in the department a few years ago now, who was half black, but didn't appear half black. And there was a creative executive who was like, "We're not that's not what's wrong." They wanted somebody in meetings who would appear a certain way, and he wasn't gonna bring that to the meeting. I mean,
so in other words, what Bob Iger and Disney want is a trophy piece. So you get these middle-aged men with a really hot 20-something-year-old wife they probably got from a mail order catalog. It's the equivalent of that. It's like, hey, look, Disney employees, we've got a black man or a black woman on our board meeting room. Yay, give them a big round of applause. That's going to go down well. And how do you think those individuals will feel being chosen for the color of their skin, not what they actually have by merit? Oh, that one's for you, Bob Iger. If you come around to my place, I can bend down for you and do a big fart in your face if you like.
it kind of feels like at some point there's going to be a lawsuit. That's kind of how it feels, just because of,
And that is a lawyer talking. So how does Disney explain pushing these discriminatory practices? They use code words and buzzwords.
I'm guessing that there's acceptable code words and buzzwords that are used to explain what they're looking for. They might say something like, look, we're not looking at the usual.
It's kind of funny, while he's talking, they're playing Rod Stewart's "If You Want My Body and You Think I'm Sexy" in the background. It's funny.
Suspects for this job. So it's not a legally actionable thing, but everybody knows what it means. They, for writers and actors, we hear all the time, I'm looking to hire writers and actors who bring diversity. I'm not looking to bring on any more clients who are white.
So what's really quite funny there is that a few moments ago, he was talking about the fact that the higher-ups at Disney seem to use code words, so you know exactly what the words are referring to. A bit like criminals when they're smuggling contraband from Band A to Band B, whatever. And I know this because I used to work in counter surveillance, counter-terrorism. And one of the things that you get to know is how criminals, what specific words they use, which is a code word for something else on the street. And I guess Disney seems to be adopting that process now just to circumvent certain things under the prying eyes and ears of their overly white employees. This is what they're going to do.
Welcome to the Disney Tapes. My name is James O'Keefe, standing here in Burbank, California, outside Disney corporate headquarters. This is our first part in a series about blatant discrimination and woke policies at the Walt Disney Company. To say that the Disney Company has had a tumultuous 5 years, well, that would be an understatement. Major box office flops, a losing battle with the state of Florida, and a stock that is one of the worst performers on Wall Street. And as you'll probably conclude from this report, as well as recent shareholder rumblings, almost all of Disney's recent failings are as a result of Bob Iger and the cast of characters here at Disney that are trying to force woke DEI policies into every aspect of Disney's vast media empire. What used to be a highly profitable company by being the gold standard of family entertainment has taken a sharp downturn in the wake of all of its wokeness. Under CEO Bob Iger's leadership, Disney's downfall likely started with the insane hiring practices amongst its executives and creative teams.
Hey, look at that, boys and girls. It's my new trophy. She's Wakanda, Wadita Bonita from the island of Fajita.
And there was a creative executive who was like, "We're not like that's not what's wrong." Like
They wanted the full.
they wanted
The
somebody
full
in meetings
article,
who would
yeah.
appear a certain way, and he wasn't gonna bring that to the meeting.
And so this is like on the
This was on the
corporate
high-
side, like
corporate
the
side.
business side.
Never understood that. Is it like, 'cause I know a lot of, like, I have like a lot of black friends who like are not as dark as like, you know. So do they care about that, or it's like the
Funny you ask.
ethnicity actually?
They say they don't care about it, but the truth is, to some extent, they do. If you're mixed, right, you don't look black at all, which sometimes happens,
Yeah.
then they're like, oh, I'm not so sure. But if you're mixed,
Which is ironic because Amanda Stenberg, I'm pretty sure, is mixed anyway. So how come she's got a foothold through the Disney front door of woke? So if you're half Hispanic and half white, so I think I'm getting this actually. So if you happen to be another ethnicity but you're mixed with white DNA, you can't get a job at Disney because you got some white in you. Oh, dearie God. So you got to be blacker than black, or you got to be maybe browner than brown. But if it wouldn't surprise me at this stage if you're a potential candidate for Disney and you walk through that front door, you get your first interview, Bob Iger's cronies actually instruct a nurse to walk into the interview room, take your blood sample, do a DNA test just to see if you're a thoroughbred, if you get my drift.
and you can tell they're somebody's part black, but they're not like that black. So, okay, that was still, yeah, it's crazy.
But apparently Meghan Markle is black enough? You can't make this up.
So would like Meghan Markle, who's
Hey, Meg.
white,
Right, yeah.
would she be considered
She would still
like,
be, yeah.
diverse,
She
or,
would, yeah.
or
Huh? As a white guy, even Michael has his own doubts about the possibility for advancement for himself at Disney, saying, quote, "As far as Disney is concerned, I'm a white male."
Now I'm like a half step below a true department head. I have a team under me, but I don't oversee a whole department. And I'd like to oversee a whole department, whether that's at Disney or having to leave. So,
Okay. Do you think that you'll have an opportunity at Disney?
I'm not sure, to be honest with you. I think I'm sort of like well prepared for it. I'm well.
The one thing that does actually puzzle me about this particular footage, does Michael even suspect he might be being secretly filmed? Because the way she's questioning him, it's like, dude, are you not thinking to yourself this person might be an undercover reporter and they're just trying to get the goods on you? Not that he's doing anything wrong. And the way he's talking, he might be oblivious. He might be in a state of merriment where he doesn't care and he's just flying loose with whatever questions he's being asked. Because you must kind of pick up at some point that if someone starts to talk in a certain way, you might be thinking to yourself, hang on a minute, whoa, pump the brakes. Are you really my friend, or are you trying to fish information out of me? Do you know what I mean? So that's the only thing that kind of bothers me a little bit about this. But again, Michael Giordano, he's actually coming out and saying this. I hope he still keeps his job after this video, because at the moment, I mean, Disney could turn around and say, look, let's fire this guy. But if they do that, Disney is then admitting that what Mr. Giordano is saying is the absolute truth. So they can't do that. But if they do, it's going to be a very interesting time if that lawsuit does come to fruition.
Position for it, but as far as Disney's concerned, I'm a white male, and that's not who they're looking to promote at the moment.
In fact, Michael actually got to experience Disney's discrimination against white males firsthand.
So.
Oh, do you think that has a lot to do with it?
I don't know a lot, but it's something to do with it.
Really?
Yeah.
What do you think the competition is?
Oh, I mean, I've been up for jobs internally against people who have less experience than me, and
same old story.
And haven't gotten.
Okay. And they were given to somebody else. Do you think it had something to do with their...
In one or two cases, I was told very explicitly that it did. Yeah.
Explicitly how? What did they tell you?
Oh, I mean, I've been at the company 11 years now, so I have friends in HR and I have friends in those divisions, and they're like, look, nobody else is going to tell you this, Mike, but they're not considering any white males for the shop.
Yeah, let's pause that for a moment, folks. Let's just soak in what Michael Giordano has just said. I used to work for HR back in the day. Now, I've got to say, from a British point of view, the HR circles I mixed and worked around in didn't think this way like Disney are being told to think, which is bizarre. I have to think at this stage that maybe there's some kind of a contractual agreement between HR and Disney that they have to carry out these practices, that they won't be disclosed outside of the private arena. But obviously, thanks to this expose today, that might be a different story altogether. And I've got to say, HR, in my days of working in it, it was absolutely fun. It was a great time. And with me in HR, we always kind of dipped in and out. I never always stayed there for too long. But the last HR department I worked in, which was from 2012 until 2014, and I've mentioned this before as well, but for some of the newcomers to my channel, just to see women who felt they were entitled to be better than men and to actually give themselves monetary awards under the approval of a female director of that business area, that made me get up and leave the job. Everybody thought I'd found something else, which I did. And that place was a big shit show as well, HMRC. But honestly, when I saw what was going on in the other government department, I thought, why is nobody talking about this? Why is nobody reporting it? This is 2014, folks. Forget, and 10 years later, look at where we are now.
What else is out there in the desert? Along with the gigantic eye, a massive nose. I know there's a pair of huge tits out there.
So ladies and gentlemen, if you're a fan of the original Halo games like I was up until Reach, and all four of those games had one thing and one thing in common, the music of Mr. Maestro himself, Marty O'Donnell. Well, he's been causing a bit of a ruckus today, because look at this tweet here, where he is now dividing apparently the fan base, because he is running as a congressman for the Republican Party. I think Mr. O'Donnell is just thinking the way that we are and seeing things that we are seeing, not through rose-tinted color spectacles, but the fact that he cannot stand ESG and DEI, or DIE if you want to spell those words the other way around, just like Cupid Stunned from the Kenny Everett Show is really stupid.
It's all done in the best possible way.
Now, this is from the Andrew Says podcast, like Simon Says, what a simple Simon says, but now this is Not So Simple Andrew, and it's only had 108 upvotes and only 726 views from 2 days ago, but I think that's all going to change. And at the 17-minute and 16-second mark, this is what Marty O'Donnell had to say.
To DEI programs and DEI being injected into games. Now, you are very well known for the Halo theme. My friend Neil is going to be very jealous. Shout out to Neil. What's been happening lately and what fans are rejecting is the forced diversity narratives in games. Now, I just got finished writing something today about how Warner Brothers Games has started a program, a leadership program for women and non-binary people. This comes right after they lost $200 million on a Suicide Squad video game that they hired a DEI consultancy firm to write characters for. Poison Ivy is an orange-haired girl, for example. We'll leave it at that. But they create these characters for people, and they create narratives for people. I've spoken to some people in the industry about this before. When you were involved in games, was this on anybody's mind? Was the amount of diversity, the amount of transgender characters in games, was this ever ever a topic that anybody thought they should worry about?
No, it wasn't. And the current, go woke, go broke. We just keep seeing that happen over and over again. When DEI is not DEI, it is not diversity, equity, and inclusion. It is code word for essentially a Marxist worldview of power structures, and there's so many catchwords that are being injected into the conversation: colonization, decolonization, all of these kinds of things.
Do you know what? I think what Mr. O'Donnell said here is absolutely 2000% correct. A few years ago, I used to hear this quite a lot, where people would say to me, and you would read it in certain places, that white folks would actually become the minority demographic and everybody else above them will be a sea of diversity. And I think this ESG, DEI, nonsensical narrative that we have right now is going to be here to stay for a while. But the more people notice it, the more that everybody gets on the platform and talks about it on social media, on YouTube, Rumble, Twitter, whatever your preferred choice of communication is, it's all got to get out there, folks. It's the biggest pushback I have seen against all these practices, the same practices that woke Taku will tell you do not exist. Leave Sweet Baby Inc. alone. They're not doing anything wrong. No. They're just trying to make the landscape of gaming a better place for you and I. And you know for a fact, folks, that is not even remotely the truth. So when people like Jeff Grubb or Rebecca Valentine from IGN spit out their venom and say, oh, just leave the consulting companies alone, they're not doing any harm. They want harm to be done. Ironically, they make their living as game journalists or presenters. And so they're encouraging this behavior for what? I don't really have any idea, to be honest, but it's great to see Congressman O'Donnell. I think I'm going to start calling him that in due course. He's had enough. But the way, and like the guy said, he's close to retirement, and or he is retired, and he's got nothing to lose. So why not come out and say this? I mean, Microsoft isn't the company it used to be, right? And it's certainly swallowing those DEI and ESG pills faster than you can go to your next door pharmacist and get more drugs off the counter. So, oh boy, I told you this was going to be a spicy marinito of a video today. Holy shit. James O'Keefe, man, that guy is old school. I love him. He's great. Definitely going to be giving a big nod and support on his Twitter X channel right there. But on that, stop it, you. Gosh, I love when she tickles me like that. It just gets me, well, very excited, if you know what I mean. And on that one, ladies and gentlemen, if you were you, and if you were me, and if you like to tease and instruct in the face constantly, you should come back for more core. But anyway, if you enjoyed this video today, leave a like below, smash that like and subscribe button, and if you were me and if I were you, you might want to come back for the next video.